Hello, my name is David, and I am not a recruiter. I am someone, though, that's worked in business for over 20 years. I've managed large teams up to 250 and a wide variety of teams from engineering to a call center to analysts, client services, HR recruiting, creative, marketing, like you name it, I've probably managed the team. And over the years, while I'm not a recruiter, I've definitely looked at thousands of resumes and have helped support the HR recruiting team at times to kind of filter through them. And I want to talk to you today about a conversation I had with a friend who's looking for a job. And the question was, when is the right time to apply to a job opening? Well, we'll just give you the answer like as soon as possible. Like that's the answer. But we're going to talk about why, right? So the reason it's that way is I'm going to give you first from my experience, and then I got this found this article that I think is interesting. So in the last video, we talked about, hey, I post a job on Monday. That first week, I get 500 responses. What I'm going to do in my role is on Friday, I'm going to go in to wherever those resumes are going, our applicant tracking system, and I'm going to start filtering through. And from those 500, we're just going to say I'm going to identify 15 people that are qualified for this role. Okay. At that part of the process, I'm going to take those 15. I want to work with the hiring manager, let them vet them, and then we're going to start communicating with them and trying to set up interviews. Okay. So if you haven't applied that first week, and for some people, it could be the first couple of days, first 3 days, and you're part of the group that applies the second week, I don't know if I'll ever look at your resume. Now, I could. A lot of it depends on what happens with those 15 people we've identified. But the truth is, if you're not in that first batch, I may never even have a chance to see your resume. The recruiter may never have a chance to see your resume because they already found enough candidates to fill the role. And so let's take a quick look. I think there's a site here that does a really good job. It is topresume.com, and they got the quirky little title here, "The Early Bird Gets the Job," which I think is great. I mean, I think that's what we're saying is you want to be first, right? But when we scroll down, they basically say like, "Hey, does it really matter?" And what they found was there was a considerable jump in the chances of you landing a job interview if you apply within the first 72 hours of the job being posted. After that, your chances for consideration plummet. Um, I mean, that lines up exactly with what I was saying in my experience with dozens of jobs and thousands of resumes. We're going to look at that first batch the first week. Now, sometimes we don't find candidates, and that obviously will open up the second week. But if we find a lot of really high qualified people, and there's enough to kind of fill up the hiring manager's time with interviews, we're going to wait and see how that process goes before we look and consider any other candidates. Okay. But let's keep reading. Additionally, a 2019 Job Bite study found that some employers only consider approximately the first 50%, 100%, right? Okay, be fair. I haven't seen the data and I haven't seen the study. Maybe we could click on this in a second and see what's there, but it just logically makes sense, right? Like I'm going to believe this to be true. And they talk here a little bit about like ways that you can improve that process. And one is to opt in for job alerts, get daily email updates. 100%. Like I think you can. But if you're unemployed right now looking for a job, there's nothing that should prevent you from going to LinkedIn, to Indeed, wherever you go, at least 2 to 3 times a day. You can change the filters either to see jobs that you haven't seen yet or viewed. You can change the filter to look at jobs within the last 24 hours. There's a lot of tools you can use to really stay on top of this process and make sure you're first. I do think, and I have a buddy who has done a really good job of keeping his resume not just fresh and easily editable, but he's really mastered building out multiple types of resumes that would apply to multiple types of jobs. Now, he's been completely honest on each resume. He's just highlighting specific skills, specific tools, specific experiences that are going to apply better to one type of job versus another. So what I've seen when he started the process is he would see a job, he would see it pretty quickly, but he would struggle to get a resume that was going to be applicable to that job in a timely manner. So one of the biggest improvements that he made was he has about 8 different resumes now. It substantially not only speeds up the process for him to apply, but he's applying with better resumes that are going to have a better chance of standing out when they get sent in. The fill in the blank with your cover letter, honestly, if cover letters are a thing that you want to do, I think that's a great place to leverage ChatGPT. Just make sure that it doesn't sound like it's been written by ChatGPT. You're gonna have to go in and re-edit it. But there's no reason why this should be something hard for you to, produce at this point with the technology that's out there. And this, last statement is dedicate a 30-minute window. Well, sure, but if you're out of work, um, you have all the time in the world. I'd say bump that up to an hour. Uh, I think as you go through the process, though, one of the challenges is you're not going to see as many opportunities each day because you've already went through everything that existed. So that friend I told you about, on week one of his job search, he applied to 50 jobs, and now when he goes out and looks, he's seeing like one or two, maybe a day, to go out and research.